Welcome to the Light Home Sustainable Design podcast series. We talk with the architects and builders about green design and homes that really suit the way we love to live.
My name's David Baggs. I'm the CEO and Chief Program Director of Global Green Tag Proprietary Limited, Tag Eco Specifier. We are third-party certifiers and verifiers in the market. And professionally, I'm an architect with 30 years experience in green building design and material selection. The major challenge in trying to source environmental building materials is to find information which is free of greenwash, that basically has been independently verified or certified by third party that are separate from the manufacturers, and so that is really the biggest single challenge. Embodied energy is important when you come to into construction, because it measures the amount of energy that's being that is taken to create a material. Now, in these days of being aware of carbon, it's actually important that we don't just use embodied energy as a term by itself anymore, as we have in the past, because as we get more and more renewable energy into our energy supply grid, something can have a large embodied energy but have no carbon in it because it's been made with completely renewable energy. So if we use embodied energy, it's also now important to also look at the carbon intensity of a material, because that way we can see how much impact it's had on climate change, not just how much energy it's taken to make it. Sustainable construction in the Australian context is a growing awareness. Ultimately, it's incredibly important to the future of the planet that we focus on sustainable construction, both in the housing and other sectors, because every time we use materials that are more intense than they need to be to do the same job, then we're creating unnecessary stress on the planet. It has become an increasing market sector, an increasing influence in the market sector, and it certainly has an impact on consumers are using it as a way of determining their preference when it comes to looking at materials and houses. Greenwash is the single biggest problem, because it saps people's confidence in buying a product based on the claims that a manufacturer makes. And the important thing about that is that if people can't easily grab a material that they can have confidence is truly green, or at least does what it says it does on the label, then it just confuses things and they don't bother to make change. So that's one of the reasons why the whole Green Tag and the Eco Specifier website that we've created is important, because we provide that third-party assessment, we provide that third-party certification and the verification to make sure that the information that is being provided through those channels has been checked by an independent third party and builds trust between the people who are looking to buy the products and the brands that they're looking at, and that they know that as a green product certification process is something that they can trust when they're looking to buy products. The most important thing that they can do is to ask for third party verification for certification of the claims that the manufacturers make. I mean, the ACCC says that if a manufacturer makes an environmental claim, it has to have readily available third-party information to prove that claim. So if they see a claim that they want to rely on, they should be going straight to the manufacturer and saying, give me the information that proves that. Now, that can become quite a laborious process, and that's why we go through those verification and certification processes so that there's an easy grab for people to look for. But if you're saying, well, what are the sorts of features of a product that people should look out for to try and head towards more sustainable solutions, then it's a very difficult thing to actually generalise, because it actually varies with every product. And until you look at till you look at the whole of life, you actually don't necessarily know the impacts of a product. When it comes to actually building or choosing a house, the single most important thing that you can look at and consider is the energy efficiency of the building. Now, that is not just about appliances, it's also about what's called the passive design aspects, the passive energy aspects of the design. So making sure that you ask for an indication of what its home energy rating scheme rating is, because there's a HERS rating that has, in some states it has stars, in other states it just has percentages. But ask the question about how energy efficient is this building, what percentage of the benefits are being created by passive solar design. And those are things like orientation, north facing, properly shaded, they've got enough insulation. In states other than New South Wales, you can say, well, this is what's called a minimum 6-star is required under the building code. So if you wanted to be, and that's in new buildings, but if you're buying an existing building, it might only be performing around the 1 or the 2 stars. So you actually might end up buying a very energy inefficient and costly to run building. So make sure that you ask about its energy performance. In New South Wales, ask about its basics score, because the minimum there is 40% energy saving. So look for something that is at least 40% on the basic score or better. And if they haven't got that information available, there is the Association of Building Sustainability Assessors, or ABSA, that have assessors that you can pay not a lot of money to, and you can get those home energy rating assessments done even on existing. To get to whether it's embodied energy or the carbon intensity, you really do have to look at a product in detail. It's not something that any consumer is going to be able to do for themselves, so you do have to use life cycle analysis, tools like our Green Tag certification system, to be able to have someone who works with the manufacturers on your behalf to get to that level of detail information, and then to simplify it and bring it, up in a way. With Green Tag, you actually have a bronze, silver, gold, or platinum rating for a product. So, that tells you instantly across 6 key performance areas how sustainable a product is, without having to really get down into all of that really nitty-gritty. But if you want to get down into the nitty-gritty, you can actually see the individual scores for each of those 6, health, ecotoxicity, biodiversity, carbon. They're all there, already done. The work's already done for you. And then that information's put up on the ecospecifier.com.au website, so you can access it at no cost, and it's all there laid out for you. You need to try and find a builder who is passionate about sustainability and makes it a core aim of their business. And there are project home builders out there in that category. But you need to ask them about how the buildings perform on your site, and you need to make sure that they're not just, using an environmentally friendly badge to get you in the door and then dropping it and giving you a business as usual solution. You need to make sure that if they're claiming to be a green building, that green builder, that they deliver green buildings as well. And this is the biggest problem that's out there at the moment in the home building market. There's lots of marketing around project builders who say they're green, but then actually don't deliver that in terms of the built product. So make sure that you ask for and get energy ratings above the 6 stars, or above the minimum, not just the minimum, but above the minimum, or get above the basics 40%. Make sure that their staff understands what passive solar design is about, so that, when the insulation is being put into your house, it's installed in a way that doesn't, that means that it's actually doing the job that it should be. Because it's not just about design, it's also about material selection, and it's also about how those materials are installed. We do is to work with manufacturers to get the information that both builders and consumers need to be able to answer all the questions that they want to answer about sustainable materials. A lot of the time, that information won't be readily forthcoming from a manufacturer to a consumer or a builder because it's commercially confident. So what, as a third party, as a trusted third party, what we do, both within our Green Tag certification system and our Eco Specifier verification process, is to work with the manufacturers to look at that confidential information, to assess it, to consider the impacts on the environment and on people's health and so on, and then to put that into the marketplace in a way which provides the transparency that the market needs, but also doesn't breach the confidentiality of the manufacturer. So in that way, we actually provide a service that wouldn't otherwise be able to be achieved by the market directly engaging with manufacturers because they just wouldn't do it. So our Green Tag certification system engages with a number of the green building rating tools. We're recognised third-party certifiers by the green building rating tools, such as Green Star, particularly in the multi-unit residential sector and other commercial side of things, not so much in house building. But the important thing is that our ecospecifier.com.au website provides a huge range of independently verified and certified information on products that can be trusted, can be relied on because it's been third-party verified.